I would like to invite you today to another way to look at your life. I would invite you just for a few moments, if you can, to close your eyes and just immerse yourself in this silence. What is listening to this moment is your being. All the noises, this voice talking, the feeling of the chair you're sitting in, any bodily sensation. Don't exclude anything. Just let everything be included in you. This openness, this silence, this awareness is your true being. It is not a human being that is listening to this moment. It is awareness itself. Please notice, as when you listen to this moment from awareness, you are listening through your heart. Through your heart, you are receiving the information of this moment. The sound of this voice, an emotion, any thought, any feeling. Through your heart, they are received by your true being, that is emptiness, silence. Your being is divine. You are a transcendental being. You are a transcendental being having a human experience. In our spiritual journey, we walk through life looking for God, looking for peace, looking for the divine. And we are not aware that we are actually the divine, having a human experience, a material experience. It is actually from the non-duality of our true being that we are experiencing duality. What is then duality? What is this human experience? It is the movement of your own being. It is the embodiment of your consciousness. It is the manifestation of the unmanifest. It is the eternal moving as space and time. It is the void taking form. When still in consciousness, there is the filter of ignorance, of the belief of being a separate entity. That belief, those mechanisms of protection, of this beautiful openness that resides at the very core of your being. All those mechanisms, all those compensation, all that protection filters this emanation, and so your life appears filtered out with these mechanisms, with these protections. When you were a small baby, when consciousness was arising as a small baby, you are innocent. You are just pure being, not knowing anything, not having any notion about yourself of any sort. And from this innocence of your being, you met many, many, many vibrations. Some of these vibrations were very heavy, were difficult. They were emanated through your mom, through your dad, to the people around you. And so as you were meeting these vibrations, you grew familiar with them. And at the same time, because your innocence was open and total, you are completely perceiving them, 100%. At a certain point, these became very painful. And you learned to protect this openness through all this personality that we know so very well. What is possible is that on a certain point of your life, instead of protecting this openness, you are able, once again, to touch the very core of your being, to break through these filters, becoming again sensitive, going again in the perception of the moment, sinking in the total, vulnerable, broken heart humanity. If you bypass this duality, if you try to hide from this, even sometimes through spirituality, then it's not possible for you to conquer back yourself completely, not just in the unmanifest side of you, but in your form as well. That is what I call the embodiment of awakening, the integration of awakening. So, in waking up to your true nature, from your divinity, from this absolute, you are able to open yourself back through perception to all that has been lost, to all those parts of you that have been forgotten. And in meeting that humanity, in meeting those parts so broken, you discover that at the very center of them, there is you. Going through fear, burning all these identities, in meditating yourself from emptiness, is something that is perceived by the personality as a fire consuming you. It's perceived as real death. It's really dying to yourself. But through this death, you come back again to life. Because life, being a vibration of your being, at that point will enable you to express yourself as an individual totally. Before that moment, the form, when those conditioning will come up, will be felt as awkward, as filtered, will be felt as not moving in the naturality of your being. Once these images that you have been holding on to in the belief that they are you will be penetrated through meditation and will be dissolved in your heart. Then you will be able to give form to you from the non-duality of your true being. Through your heart, you will be able to express your form. You will be able to express 100% your individuality. I insist on this bridge in the heart, because really the heart is the doorway through which consciousness manifests the form. And it is in coming back in your heart that you can reabsorb all that conditioning back, all that ignorance back in the purity of being, and then express it again in an authentic way. And living this beautiful miracle, this beautiful paradox of you, consciousness, you, eternity, being human. That is the miracle of being human. And remember, all this conditioning is not personal. It doesn't belong to a person. There is nothing personal in the process I just explained. It's totally, utterly impersonal and moves from lifetime into lifetime. It moves from century to century, because it's not a person that is waking up. It's really consciousness that is waking up. A true spirituality doesn't avoid life. It doesn't avoid pain or fear. A true spiritual life meets fear in the heart and let the fire burn all that is false, so that at the end only the pure gold remains. It's a beautiful journey, and that's why you took human form. The emptiness of your being is vibrating now, as this room, as these people, as this voice. And in every moment, it is exactly the reflection of where consciousness is at, either ignoring what it is or seeing what it is. And when it comes back to know what it is, you don't live anymore a life of fear, but a life of joy, unconditional joy that springs from your open heart. So this invitation is an invitation to another way to live life from the openness of your heart, living a life that exposes you to this duality and meet it completely. If there is anything that you would like to ask or to share about what I just said, you are absolutely welcome.
Will you touch a little bit upon this fear that comes up when we want to let go? I'm going to expand just a little bit on it. When we want to move from duality to our inner nature, there is a fear that comes up that the duality is familiar, and I'm entering now something that is so foreign, apparently foreign, unfamiliar. And there are all kinds of feelings that come. Maybe there's nothing there, maybe I won't find anything there, maybe only the chosen ones can see something there.
Okay. Forget about this idea of chosen one. We have been already chosen. We have the incredible privilege to have a human form. Here is consciousness expressing itself in all its intelligence as a human form. You have been already chosen. You, consciousness through that form, can express itself as human. It's an incredible privilege, incredible miracle of something that has no form, no qualities whatsoever, expressing as human. Speaking about the familiarity, you see, when we approach these filters of ignorance, when we approach this contraction, there is this habit of either identifying with the story that speaks about that pain, or identifying with the feeling itself. Both these directions cannot bring to transcendence and transformation. Very often, even when we hear that it's about staying with our feelings, staying with our emotions, this some way becomes something psychological. It becomes like an identification with our past as a feeling, if not as a story. It is really about resting in the purity of your heart, and from the absolute purity of your heart, meeting that duality. You are already doing it, but you're not maybe conscious of it. You are already meeting duality from non-duality, but not consciously. And all that has been called frail, vulnerable, broken, messy, wrong, all that is the beautiful journey that consciousness is doing through you as a form. The only way you can dissolve these polarities of ignorance is in meeting them. In other words, very simply said, you have to make mistakes to learn. So your life as it is your true spiritual life. Your life as it is when you feel lost, when you feel broken, when you feel worn by life. That's the way in which consciousness learns. So there is nothing to avoid. There is nothing that should be sent away. And it's not something that a personality does. This journey is not something that a personality does. It's going to delete completely the personality. It's going to destroy any image you have of you. It is about dying in each and every moment to you and seeing life live in that form. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. Yes, this lady. This young lady.
Thank you. So the recent information, and we learned that from many sources, including the movie Matrix, that unless everyone is awakened on this planet, we will not move forward as a consciousness, common consciousness. How can you comment on that?
In a way, yes and no. Thank you for this question. It's interesting. Okay. When the spring comes in a garden, you don't say that the spring has come only when all the flowers have been blossomed, isn't it? Yeah? So it's possible that spring comes and some flower blossoms, some flower like share the beautiful, beautiful perfume. And some way that perfume is going to be an emanation of the spring that has come. So don't see many separate entities that have to wake up. There is only one consciousness that is waking up, and is waking up through us. And this consciousness is you, is me, is we, it's I, is the true self. When consciousness seems to be so asleep through a form, it's anyway present in all its purity and in all its glory. The only difference is the glory of the true self shining through your form? That's what we can ask ourselves. And you feel when you do, because your heart is open and you're forgetting about you, and all that is present is life. And there is no more somebody talking or singing or moving or working or driving the car or hoovering the carpet or washing the dishes or whatever. Life is doing it. The divine is doing it. And the pleasure to live this beautiful life is this, is being absent of ourselves and full of this. And this is also what I would call love. It's a life of love. So, at the same time, yes, it's true, in the sense that until this consciousness is not shining through all its flower, is going to put little roots at the flower, sprouting a little leaf. And sometimes the flower will perceive as if something of itself is dying, because the seed is becoming a sprout, and the sprout is becoming a plant, and maybe from a young tree it becomes a big tree, and some of its branches are dying. And this will be perceived by consciousness when still is identified with the form as, oh, I'm in real crisis. Something else different from what we believe to be is waking up here, not a person. And until this is not over, consciousness will move to make the garden of God blossom completely. And then, who knows? Because it's endless. There is an endless integration of the form into the nothingness of your being. Waking up to the nothingness of your being, waking up to your true nature as a self, it's not happening in time and space. It doesn't ask a process. Is now, in the eternal moment. Just look back at you and you will find just presence. But the integration of this in duality, the integration of this seeing in life, it's a never-ending process. It's like a window opening on another window, on another window, on another window, forever. And there is another beautiful thing. Those flowers that have been already blossomed and are sharing their beautiful perfume, these are enticing this process. It's like consciousness is enjoying it so much that keeps on doing it. And that's the joy that you feel, my dear, when you break through something, when something is finally let go of. This is the joy that you feel. Is that enough as an answer to you? Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you for the answer. And I would like to ask you, do you think it makes any sense to try to speed up this process of awakening, of this evolution? And what would be the bigger contribution, on your opinion, in this process?
Okay. Once again, it's not a person that wakes up. So there is nothing that the apparent individual can do or not do to make it happen, because it simply is not existing. But that's the beauty of truth. It's paradoxical, isn't it? That's why we love it so much. But all the time that you, consciousness, are awake to yourself, and you rest in your being, in the openness of your being, and you allow yourself to receive those vibrations of separation, of ignorance, of suffering through your heart, and you are so open to dissolve them in your heart, to transcend them in your heart, then a little bit of that is no more present on the planet, because you are meditating the entire planet. And it's not say that must be done like saying something loud to everybody, or writing a book. You just do your everyday life, you may be a mom or whatever you do, whatever your form is called to do, that will be your contribution. Because at that point, anything you say, anything you feel, anything you think, anything you express will be the divine doing it. You will be the voice of God. You will be the hand of God. And in being yourself whatever this means, you know what it means to be yourself, because you know when the form is used by consciousness completely, and when instead there is something that you want to protect, something that is too frail to feel. In giving yourself completely, you are emanating this and not suffering. So it's a yes and a no. It's not a yes to a person that can do something. It's a yes, you are waking up, and whatever is happening in your life, it is your contribution. Your life as it is has been painted by the divine, and you are the divine. You are the divine. You are this entire room. You're painting this room. This is your masterpiece. Every moment of your life. You're not inside that little form. You are this space that is using this beautiful vessel to express itself. That's the miracle. You say, it is written some way in the Bible, I believe, or in some scriptures, that the angel, weep, like because they see this beautiful opportunity that the humans have. Yeah? That's the reason. That gives a lot of meaning to you as a human, because you are the expression, the ultimate expression of the divine. You're made of the same substance of the divine. That's the meaning. I don't know if any of you is familiar with Dante Alighieri, the Italian poet. At the end of the Divine Comedy, that is a spiritual journey really, in the last part, Dante goes at the highest part of the paradise, and he asks to the Divine Mother, the feminine aspect, the manifestation, to show him God, the face of God, because the Divine Mother is contemplating the face of God in paradise all the time. And so no man can see God and live, so he asks to the Divine Mother. And so Dante looks in the eyes of the Divine Mother, and he sees himself. At the very core of your humanity, there is your divinity. That's the sense. It's an incredible journey, transcending your self-separation and coming back to life. Transcendence and immanence. It's beautiful. If immanence, if embodiment is missing, then life seems just, I don't know, a current of like matter, an illusion that you don't know exactly where to put. It is an illusion. It's not real. It's moved by the reality of your being. That's what moves this moment.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so you're saying that in order to be a manifestation of God, whoever you are, a mother, worker, of social worker, or whoever, this is basically your life purpose, because many people are searching for a higher life purpose.
Yes.
And believe that there have to be something special and perform something very authentic.
Yes. Your life purpose as a form is being empty of view of the sense of separation and be filled with life itself. And whatever you're doing, it will be your contribution. It sounds like something you have to do, isn't it? It sounds like a homework, yeah? But it's not. That's the beauty. That's the grace. That's the coup de théâtre of God, yeah? Great work of God. Because you don't have to do it. It's already happening, yeah? Because you are already meeting duality. You are already suffering, yeah? Sometimes at least. Yeah? You are already meeting all this stuff in your heart. And even when you try to avoid it, and you go maybe in your mind and all these mental stories, you go in your mental stories because that's the way in which you become a little more familiar with those contents. So it's already happening. Can you imagine if God had to wait for a sense of separation to disappear to be present? Of course, It doesn't need that. So the beautiful unfolding, that's the paradox. You're living this moment at the same time as divine as in human, completely divine and completely human. So when you look at it from your human side, it looks like you have to open your heart to something that is immense, and maybe you don't know what it is, and you don't know if your next step will have something to land upon. And at the same time, when you watch it from your divine nature, you see this beautiful display. And the beauty of life is in being able to encompass these things simultaneously. And this is possible only if the image of you die. You have to move away from the scene. And then there is life with no author, with no center, an open life. Make sense to you?
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we have much time left, but I would invite you simply to close your eyes, and I'm open to reply to any question if you want later. I will be outside. And I would like you simply to close your eyes in this moment and forget about all the things we said. Just stay with the energetic impression, if there is some, of what you just received. Just this vibration in your heart. And contact your heart, this sublime door, and receive life. Receive you. Meet yourself from your true self. Meet the me from the true self. Through the heart.